The Mary Celeste, the ghost ship found with no crew. Where did everyone go? December 4th, 1872, the Atlantic Ocean between Portugal and the Azores. A British ship spots another vessel drifting aimlessly. No response to signals, no crew visible on deck. They board the ship and find something that defies explanation. The Mary Celeste. A merchant vessel in perfect condition, sails partially set, cargo intact, captain's log laid out, breakfast still on the table, personal belongings untouched, navigation equipment functioning, but every single person is gone. 10 people, the captain, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, and 7 crew members, vanished without a trace. No signs of struggle, no signs of piracy, no distress signals sent. The ship's lifeboat is missing, suggesting they abandoned ship. But why? The weather was clear, the ship was seaworthy, they had 6 months of food and water. For 152 years, the Mary Celeste has haunted maritime history. What happened to the 10 people who sailed that ship? Why did they abandon a perfectly good vessel in the middle of the ocean? And where did they go? Act 1. The Voyage. October 1872, New York Harbor. The Mary Celeste wasn't a glamorous ship. She was a merchant brigantine, a 2-masted cargo vessel, 103 feet long, built in 1861. She'd had a troubled history. Previous owners had gone bankrupt, captains had died, she'd been through several accidents. Some sailors already considered her unlucky. But in October 1872, she had new ownership and a new captain, Benjamin Briggs. Captain Benjamin Briggs was 37 years old, experienced, respected, deeply religious. He came from a seafaring family. His father was a sea captain, his brother was a sea captain. Benjamin had been sailing since he was a teenager. This voyage was special. He was bringing his family. Captain Benjamin Briggs, 37, master of the vessel. Sarah Briggs, his wife, 30 years old. Sophia Matilda Briggs, their 2-year-old daughter. 7 crew members. Albert Richardson, first mate. Andrew Gilling, second mate. Edward Head, steward and cook. Volkert Lorenzen, seaman. Arian Martins, seaman. Boy Lorenzen, seaman. Gottlieb Goodshod, seaman. Total, 10 people. They left their 7-year-old son, Arthur, home with Sarah's mother. The ship was cramped, and Arthur would stay behind for this voyage. That decision saved his life. The Mary Celeste was loaded with 1,701 barrels of commercial alcohol, denatured ethanol, bound to Genoa, Italy. Legal cargo, routine shipment, nothing unusual. November 7, 1972. The Mary Celeste left New York Harbor. Captain Briggs wrote a letter to his mother before departure, cheerful, optimistic, mentioning Sarah and Sophia were in good health. Another ship, the Dei Gratia, also departed New York around the same time, headed to Gibraltar. The 2 captains knew each other. Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia was a friend of Captain Benjamin Briggs. The Mary Celeste sailed ahead. The Dei Gratia would follow days later. For the next few weeks, the Mary Celeste sailed eastward across the Atlantic. Weather logs show they encountered some rough seas and storms in mid-November, but nothing catastrophic. The last entry in Captain Briggs' log was dated November 25, 8 a.m. Location, approximately 400 miles east of the Azores. The entry was routine, noting their position, weather, wind speed. Nothing alarming, everything normal. That was the last record. 9 days later, the Dei Gratia would make a discovery that would baffle the world. Act 2. The Discovery. December 4th, mid-afternoon, the Dei Gratia, captained by David Morehouse, was sailing about 400 miles east of the Azores when they spotted a ship on the horizon. At first, it seemed normal, but as they got closer, something was wrong. The ship was moving erratically, zigzagging, drifting. Some sails were set, Others were furled or torn. No response to signals. No crew visible on deck. Captain Morehouse recognized the ship. It was the Mary Celeste, his friend Benjamin Briggs' vessel. Concerned, Morehouse ordered his first mate, Oliver DeVoe, to take a small boarding party and investigate. What they found was one of the strangest scenes in maritime history. The ship was deserted, completely abandoned. But it wasn't damaged. It was seaworthy, afloat, mostly intact. Here's what they found. On deck, the ship's lifeboat was missing, launched from davits. Some rigging was damaged, sails torn, railing damaged on one side, standing water in the hold, about 3.5 feet, concerning but not sinking. No crew, no bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle. Below deck, captain's cabin, personal belongings untouched, captain's sword under the bed, not drawn, Sarah's sewing items laid out, Sophia's toys scattered, navigation equipment missing, sextant and chronometer missing, not destroyed, ship's papers missing, except the captain's log, food and water, 6 months' worth of supplies still on board, cargo, 1,701 barrels of alcohol, 9 were empty or damaged, but most intact, kitchen, stove knocked over, some dishes and food still out. The last log entry, November 25th, 9 days earlier. But the ship had traveled about 400 miles since that entry, meaning it had been drifting unmanned for over a week. The lifeboat was gone. This suggests the crew deliberately abandoned ship. But why? The weather was clear, the ship was seaworthy, they had 6 months of food and water. There were no distress signals. If they were in danger, why not send up flares or signals? Captain Morehouse faced a decision. The Mary Celeste was technically abandoned, which made it salvage. He could claim it. But it was also his friend's ship, and 10 people were missing. He put a skeleton crew aboard the Mary Celeste, and both ships sailed to Gibraltar. When they arrived in Gibraltar on December 13, 1972, authorities immediately launched an investigation. This wasn't just a missing crew. This was potential piracy, mutiny, murder, or insurance fraud. The British Vice Admiralty Court interrogated everyone. They inspected every inch of the Mary Celeste. The ship showed no signs of piracy, cargo intact, valuables untouched, fire or explosion, no burn marks, severe storm damage, minor damage only. The only strange detail, a sword found in the captain's cabin appeared to have reddish-brown stains. Tests were inconclusive, possibly rust, possibly blood, possibly just discoloration. But where were the 10 people? The court eventually ruled insufficient evidence to determine cause of abandonment. The Mary Celeste was released, refitted, and returned to service. She sailed for another 12 years before being deliberately wrecked in 1885 for insurance fraud by later owners. But the mystery remained. Act 3. The Theories. For 152 years, people have tried to explain what happened aboard the Mary Celeste. Let's examine every major theory. Theory 1. Alcohol fumes or explosion fear. 9 barrels of alcohol were found empty or leaking. Alcohol fumes accumulated in the hold. The crew feared an imminent explosion and abandoned ship in panic. They planned to wait at a safe distance until the danger passed, but were separated from the ship or lost at sea. Evidence supporting: commercial alcohol is highly flammable. Fumes can accumulate in closed holds, would explain sudden panic and abandonment. Hatches were found open, ventilating. No actual explosion occurred, explaining why ship survived. Lifeboat gone suggests temporary evacuation. Evidence against: no scorch marks or evidence of fire or explosion risk. Experienced crew would recognize actual danger. Why not just ventilate the hold? Weather was clear. Why not stay nearby? Likelihood: high. This is considered one of the most plausible theories by modern investigators. Theory 2. Seaquake or underwater earthquake. An underwater earthquake created a seaquake, causing the ship to violently shake, water to rush into the hold, and crew panic. Crew thought the ship was breaking apart and abandoned ship. The seaquake passed, ship stabilized, but the crew was already gone. Evidence supporting Azores region has seismic activity. Would explain sudden panic. Would explain water in the hold, surge from the seaquake. Crew wouldn't wait around if they thought the ship was sinking. Experienced crew would assess actual danger. Likelihood, moderate. Theory 3. Waterspout or freak weather. A waterspout or tornado over water or sudden violent storm struck. Crew abandoned ship thinking it would capsize. Storm passed, ship survived. Crew did not. Evidence supporting Atlantic has unpredictable weather. Waterspouts can appear suddenly, would explain panic and quick abandonment. Log shows storms earlier in voyage. Evidence against? No evidence of major storm damage. Last log entry mentions calm conditions. Why abandon ship for weather they'd encountered before? Likelihood, low to moderate. Theory 4. Piracy or mutiny. The crew mutinied against the captain, killed him and his family, then fled in the lifeboat. Or pirates boarded, killed everyone, took valuables, and left. Evidence supporting, it's the ocean, piracy happens. Would explain missing people, would explain missing navigation equipment. Evidence against, no signs of violence or struggle, no blood, sword stains, inconclusive. Cargo intact, pirates would steal it. Valuables still aboard, including Sarah's jewelry. Crew had good reputations, no motive for mutiny. The captain was respected, religious, fair. Likelihood, very low. Investigators at the time and modern analysts dismiss this. Theory 5. Insurance fraud. Captain Briggs conspired with Captain Morehouse, his friend on the Dei Grazia. They faked an abandonment to claim salvage rights and insurance money. Everyone was in on it. Evidence supporting? Morehouse benefited financially from salvage claim. Two captains knew each other. Convenient timing. Evidence against? Briggs was wealthy and respected, no financial motive. His wife and daughter were aboard, he wouldn't risk them. Morehouse's salvage claim was modest. Investigation found no evidence of conspiracy. Both men had impeccable reputations. Likelihood, very low. Thoroughly investigated and dismissed. Theory 6. Rogue wave. A massive single wave swept over the deck, washing people overboard or causing panic that led to abandonment. Evidence supporting? Rogue waves are real and deadly, could strike without warning, would explain sudden crisis. Evidence against? Would likely cause more damage, unlikely to sweep all 10 people overboard. Crew would send distress signals, doesn't explain why the lifeboat was launched. Likelihood, low. Theory 7. Food poisoning, or ergot. Contaminated food, possibly ergot fungus in bread, caused mass hallucinations and irrational behavior. The crew, delusional, abandoned ship. Evidence supporting ergot poisoning causes hallucinations, paranoia, would explain irrational group behavior, documented in other historical events. Evidence against? No evidence of contaminated food. Why would they take the lifeboat if hallucinating? Very speculative. Likelihood, very low. Theory 8. The most likely explanation. Modern consensus. A combination of factors. Alcohol fumes from leaking barrels built up in the hold. Captain checked the hold, smelled fumes, and feared an explosion. Made quick decision to evacuate temporarily onto the lifeboat. Planned to stay nearby using a tow line, but the line broke or wasn't secured. Ship drifted away in the wind while the crew was in the lifeboat. The lifeboat was too small and not seaworthy for long-term survival. The crew perished at sea, bodies never recovered. This explains why they left quickly, panic about explosion, why the lifeboat is missing, intentional evacuation, why the valuables left behind, plan to return, why the ship survived, no actual explosion, why no bodies found, lost at sea. Act 4. Aftermath and Legacy. What happened to the people? Benjamin Briggs, Sarah Briggs, Sophia Briggs, and the 7 crew members were never seen again. No bodies were ever recovered. They are presumed to have drowned at sea. Their son, Arthur Briggs, who stayed home, lost his entire immediate family. He was 7 years old. The Mary Celeste was refitted and returned to service. She changed owners multiple times. Her reputation as a cursed ship followed her. In 1885, her final owner deliberately wrecked her off the coast of Haiti in an insurance fraud scheme. He was caught and prosecuted. The Mary Celeste ended her days rotting on a reef. The Mary Celeste became the most famous ghost ship in history, inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows. The term ghost ship became synonymous with her. Mystery has been debated for 152 years. Theories range from plausible to supernatural. Over time, myths grew. Myth: food was still warm on the table. False. No contemporary reports say this. Myth: teacups were half full. False. Embellishment. Myth: everything was perfectly neat. False. Some disarray noted. Reality: ship was seaworthy, but abandoned. Reality: lifeboat was missing. Reality: no signs of violence. Reality: 10 people vanished completely. Documentaries and researchers continue investigating. 2006 Smithsonian Channel investigation. Numerous maritime experts analyzing evidence. Scientific papers on alcohol fume theory. Diving expeditions to the wreck site. The consensus among modern experts: alcohol fume theory is most likely. A moment of panic led to a fatal decision. What makes this story heartbreaking isn't just the mystery, it's the human cost. A family trying to spend time together. A father bringing his wife and daughter on a voyage. A 2-year-old girl who should have grown up. 7 crew members doing their jobs. All gone, lost to the sea. The Mary Celeste represents one of history's most enduring maritime mysteries. We have the ship, we have the logs, we have the evidence, but we'll never know exactly what Captain Briggs thought in those final moments, what he saw in the hold, what decision he made, whether he realized the ship wasn't really in danger, whether he tried desperately to get back as the ship drifted away. 10 people boarded the Mary Celeste in November 1972. The ship arrived in December. The people never did. If maritime mysteries fascinate you, subscribe to Unsolved Vault. The Mary Celeste is found. The crew never was. Comment below. Do you think they could have survived? Thanks for watching.